what to do when you already know what you need to be working on. You plan for it, you time block it, and then you still don't do it. So the example, which was another question that came in, was around pushing through emotional resistance of doing the difficult things. So in that person's scenario, it was spending money on ads when you don't know if they're going to work or not.
Yeah. Well, that's uncertainty again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know if it's going to work or not. Well, guess what? You basically never know if it's going to work or not. I mean, in a way, if you're ever doing something that has no uncertainty attached to it, it's somehow artificial.
Yeah.
Right?
Or no reward, right?
Yeah, or there's no real reward, or you're operating in some system where someone else is taking on the uncertainty, right? Of course, you can say, look, my boss told me do these 5 things and then I'll get the promotion. And there's like certainty. Well, that's because your boss is taking on the uncertainty. Like he doesn't know if doing these 5 things is going to actually make a difference, right? So stuff you do in the real world always comes with a level of uncertainty. Obviously, some things less than others, right? But especially, trying to reach your goals there's always a certain level of uncertainty there. So you got to get comfortable with that. You got to get comfortable with, I don't know what's going to happen, and treat stuff like an experiment. A lot of people have this fear of making mistakes and this fear of failure. And it's really not that bad. It's fine to make mistakes and to fail. And it's good if you learn from that. So a good reframe, I think, that helps a lot of people is think of it as an experiment instead of this, like, don't create things that are like this all or nothing, succeed or fail, right? It shouldn't be 8 Mile, whatever, you've only got one shot, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. That's not good. I try to avoid situations like that. And what I mean is, when I started with selling my own products, I treated that as an experiment. Or the first course I ever made was a small course that I put out for free. Or it was like, well, I want to learn the process of how to make and publish an online course, and then I want to see, well, what happens? Like, if I give it away for free, do people sign up? Do they like it? What happens, right? And I wasn't in the situation where it's like, okay, I'm making this course, and this is everything rests on this. I'm gonna sell this, and I quit my job. I don't have income. Like, I'm gonna run out of money in 6 weeks, and I'm gonna launch this course. And if people don't buy it, it's all over, right? It's like, how stressful is that?
Super dramatic.
yeah. It's like, dude, no, that's terrible. I don't want to be in that situation. So for me, it's more like, here's an experiment. And I was working other jobs. I was like working odd jobs to make an income while I was learning these online marketing skills, right? Where I'm like in a situation, okay, I made this course. I gained some experience doing that. I'm putting it out. I'm seeing, okay, people like it. Okay, that's cool. I'm making another free product, improving on what, kind of learning lessons from the first one. And, the second one I made, nobody was interested in. So I was like, oh, this one failed, right? Oh my God, it failed. But I could learn then, okay, the first one worked, the second one didn't. What are the differences? What can I learn? So by the time I was making my first product to sell, I already had this experience. And again, it was like an experiment. It was like, okay, I've invested a bit more time into this than previously, and I'm kind of selling a beta version of it, to my subscribers at a very low price. Again, it's like an experiment. If nobody signs up for this, it's not the end of the world. And I can like iterate forward. And I've always treated it like that. Like, this is also how I started with software development. I started some very small, very simple software projects. Some of them were success, some of them failed. I learned my lessons from that before I then did a bigger software company. So it's always iterative, right?
Right.
It's an experiment. So it's not this kind of all or nothing, win or fail situation. That's what I would avoid here. And okay, so that's part of it, right? Start thinking of things as experimentation and learn from experimentation. The other thing is, or how do you push yourself to do the uncomfortable thing? Well, you got to start somewhere. You have to get used to that process of pushing yourself to do the uncomfortable thing, and find something that you can do. This is something, I'm not a huge fan of cold showers. I think they're overhyped, but that's one of the things that might be useful. Okay, if you have trouble doing the difficult thing in, like, let's say, publishing your work, well, maybe you can practice doing the difficult thing by taking cold showers and being like, well, I survived this. I don't want to do it, but I do it anyway. And you practice that muscle essentially, right? You practice the doing it anyway muscle. I think exercise is a very good thing to do for this as well, because everybody has days where you don't want to go to the gym, right? And you go anyway, so you practice that. Okay, go anyway. But also, when you're doing exercise itself, there's always that part of it is always the mental thing where it starts to hurt. You start feeling fatigue, and part of you is like, let's just stop.
Yeah.
And you push through that, and the more you do it, the more used to that you become. You become used to, or you get used to that internal interaction where part of you goes, let's not do it, this is unpleasant, and you just learn to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically that. It's never going to be less unpleasant. Okay, so don't seek for it to become easy. Don't wait until it's no longer unpleasant, until it no longer feels like you have to push yourself to do the uncomfortable thing. Instead, just be like, oh, this is my life now. I'm the guy who pushes himself to do the uncomfortable thing, and get used to that.
That's the new story in your head, right?
Yeah.
That's who you are. And that feeling that you're describing, that can become addictive itself, right?
Yeah.
Like cold showers feel great.
Yeah.
And like the thing about pushing through exercising, like when you really don't want to do it and you're halfway through, you're like, yes!
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can totally get used to it. And it can become, but I think exercise is an interesting thing for that, because I really enjoy weightlifting. And so on the one hand, I like to do it, but on the other hand, it's still hard. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that I go to the gym, it's like, oh yeah, this is great. It's like I'm still feeling the burn and going like, oh, I don't really want to do another set and stuff. But I also love it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of a weird thing, right? But that's what I mean. It's like, it's not that it just becomes easy, or it's just like, oh, it becomes joyful or something like that. It's that somehow you learn to enjoy the process of doing the hard thing.
No, you become a sadomasochist. That's what went
So,
through my mind.
yeah, I mean maybe.
So
that's
yes,
it, right?
whip me harder.
yeah.